With the NBA All-Star Weekend just wrapping up, this trade speculation and discussion is going to be running rampant once again, and the talks have been centered around a superstar on the Phoenix Suns in Kevin Durant. After the trade deadline, the Suns ultimately looked to move him to reset their roster. And with new teams getting into the speculation, we're going to be diving in and looking at this report where ultimately I cannot believe, and we're going to be discussing the possibility of this Kevin Durant situation, ultimately giving my thoughts in the end as well. We'll be breaking down all of that and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez, and you guys have been absolutely fantastic showing your love and support over the last couple weeks on the channel. So I do want to say very thank you so much for showing that support. We will be coming with you guys with these videos coming out and with the obviously All-Star Weekend. It's been a little bit quiet. Well, obviously post All-Star Weekend, we'll get the second half of the season and we'll be getting those videos pumping once again. But without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand. Make sure to grab that snack. And ultimately, this is ridiculous. I can't believe that we're going to have to dive into this. I can't believe we still have to talk about this, but it just ultimately makes no sense in my eyes why this talk is even happening. Well, here we are, and let's discuss it. Let's get into it as we have seen a new rumor with two new teams linked to Kevin Durant. In an article written by Kevin Hicks of Sports Illustrated, he says there will be no shortage of suitors for Durant this offseason if he was to be put on the trade block. And in this, he says two new teams could be in the mix for a trade for Phoenix Suns superstar Kevin Durant in the offseason if the two sides decide to go their separate ways. And he says, per the rumor, the San Antonio Spurs and the Los Angeles Lakers could find themselves in play for the 15-time All-Star. And ultimately, I do believe that any team is going to be interested in Kevin Durant if he decides to part ways. There are multiple reasons why this is the case. One, Durant at the beginning of the season was the MVP and has been the MVP for this Phoenix Suns team, as he was the only All-Star, unless you want to count Ryan Dunn making it for the Rising Stars team, that was elected to be on the All-Star team. He's been the best player for this Phoenix Suns squad, and when he was out and hurt at the beginning of the season, the Suns took that clear drop-off that they have been in that pit ever since. But when they were on hot, going on that 8-1 record to start off the season, Durant and Booker were two of the best in the league leading that duo, with Durant being that leading superstar. Now, obviously, we have seen Durant obviously get older in age, but his play has not declined either offensively or defensively, as he's been one of the bigger focal points for this Suns team. And another interesting reason why Durant is also so valuable is due to the fact of his contract. If we do want to look at it, he does have making $54 million next year, but he obviously will be a restricted free agent after that. So he is on an expiring deal next year. And for the Suns, who are looking to get Durant on that extension and locked up long term to be a Phoenix Sun, they're obviously going to be looking to make moves to kind of consider and keep him on this team. But obviously other teams like the Spurs, like the Lakers, I expect every team in the NBA that has some sort of young talent or draft picks to be interested in a player like Kevin Durant to pair alongside their all-stars to, push them into a needle for a championship, because Durant obviously is getting a little bit older. So obviously with this, next extension, he's still going to be a top tier player, but could see a little bit of digression, but we've yet to see that in his game so far. So I don't want to bank on that. And that's why I think the Phoenix Suns should keep Kevin Durant. I don't think that they should look to trade him. I don't think that they should even entertain that aspect at the trade deadline. They should have, even if they wanted to, consult him about it. But I would ultimately, with the Phoenix Suns, go out and get a player like Kevin Durant to keep him long term. You don't want to rupture that relationship, and the Suns kind of already have. So that's why a lot of speculation has kind of come out with this Kevin Durant stuff, as now to the end of the offseason, we're going to see, speculation as the Suns, play these games depending on how their record is. Oh, will Kevin Durant want to stay? Will Kevin Durant want to leave? Are the Suns going to have to be forced to make a trade? All this other stuff is going to be discussed and talked about all into the off season. But similar with the Jimmy Butler situation, we'll get into this in a little bit, but I want to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Obviously, I think a team like the Spurs and the Lakers would be interested in a player like Kevin Durant. The Lakers, obviously, having LeBron James and Luka Doncic, adding another all-star type player to that team would be absolutely ridiculous. Now, the Suns would get, a major load haul from them. They would probably get, those future firsts that they would give up for Mark Williams. They'd probably get Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, so they would get a nice package for Kevin Durant. A team like the Spurs could also give up a nice package, pairing him up with Victor Wembanyama and obviously De'Aaron Fox. And the Suns can get multiple young players like Keldon Johnson, Malachi Branham, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, amongst others that are on that San Antonio Spurs team. But ultimately, I do best believe that keeping Kevin Durant and running with Devin Booker in this team is the best way to go. And that's why I can't believe I have to be talking about the possibility of trading Kevin Durant even next season right now. So I want to know your thoughts. But like I said, what will ultimately happen? What do I ultimately think will be coming down with this Suns team? I ultimately do think that Kevin Durant will be traded at the end of the season. I do think that the Suns are not going to have a great second half of the year. And if that is the case, then the Suns are going to be forced into a situation of not making the play-in or possibly not making the playoffs. And an unsettling conversation will be held with Kevin Durant where he will want to leave on an expiring deal as he'll become the most value around the league on that expiring deal as he won't be locked up on a long-term extension. Now, ultimately, what I think the Phoenix Suns should do is they should reset this season and yes, kind of tank this season, but ultimately push for next year to be a comparable team. Now, obviously, I'm not saying punch and tank and lose all these games because they don't have their first round pick. I'm saying try to be competent, try to win as much as you can, trying to give you your best overall season this year with the roster you have. But then ultimately, you're focusing on next season. You're trying to figure out what pieces you can keep around Kevin and Devin to really build around them. You're trying to make another Bradley Beal deal. But ultimately, I think that is ultimately just some happy wishing. And I hope that for the Phoenix Suns that they're able to run into this case where they're able to use a guy like Kevin Durant to keep long term, get him to that extension, and kind of repair this relationship here. But with the many suitors that are going to be interested in Kevin Durant and with the Suns potentially not making the playoffs or even the play in with this roster, I do believe that the question will be time the time will arise for the question to be asked, is Kevin Durant going to be on this roster? And ultimately, I do not think he will be on this roster by the start of next season. I do think that he will be ultimately traded, but I do want that to be wrong. I do want Kevin Durant to stay on this team because, like I've said in multiple videos, Kevin and Devin can win a championship with the right roster around them. And I truly do believe that if they have the right centerpieces, and unfortunately they don't with the roster construction at this moment, but next year, being able to be in the first apron going into the offseason, if they're able to make a move involving Bradley Beal to get some multiple pieces back to build around Kevin and Devin, then I truly believe that the Phoenix Suns could be a team that could be on the rise with their new reshaped roster. But I want to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on all this Kevin Durant speculation, all this Kevin Durant talk? Just because I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe that we have to talk about Kevin Durant possibly leaving. I never thought that this day would come. I thought that he would retire a Phoenix Sun and that the Suns would continue to push for champions with him after trading for him after losing in the 21 finals, but unfortunately that has not been the case for us Suns fans, and we're left in a little bit of question mark and peril as we wait for the second half of the season to start to ultimately push what direction this team is really going to be hunting for in the future. But like I said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic showing your love and support on the channel, so I really do appreciate it. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you did enjoy the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button as it ultimately does so much for pushing the channel in the algorithm so other Suns fans can get interested on the channel. We can build a bigger community here on YouTube on Suns Digest. But like I said, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day and go Phoenix Suns. Peace out, everyone.